Hi everyone, and welcome to Ruth Reacts to Books. I'm your host, Ruxie Ruth McGouth, and today, this is Season 2, Episode 31. We're making it through the year here. And today I am reacting to Festive in Death by J.D. Robb. That's another name for Nora Roberts, one of my favorite authors. So this is book number 39 in a series that I love to read. If you know me, you know I slowly read through series. And so I'm only on book 39, even though I've been reading this series for many, many years, thanks to my amazing friend Tasha, who introduced me to this series. So before I read the back of this book, I will share with you that if you'd like to start this series, the very first book in the series that you must read is this one. It's called Naked in Death. This is the first book in the series. And so this is the numero uno book in the series, and it's the good place to start. There are some trigger warnings. This is about a futuristic detective from New York City who has a troubled past. She's had some sexual assault in her past, so from a family member. So just be aware of that if you have similar troubles in your own past. There's something to be aware of if you're going to read this book series, because it is quite prevalent, at least in the beginning. It definitely settles down as the books go on and as she works through some of her trauma. So once we get to this book, Festive in Death, we don't hear as much about it, but we do in the earlier books. So just be aware of that if you are considering it, which I highly recommend. It is amazing. All right, so here we go. Interesting. The back of this book is, on the very back of this book, is literally just an excerpt. So that's not what we want. Here we go. This is what we want right inside the book. Festive in Death. Personal trainer Trey Ziegler was in peak physical condition, if you didn't count the kitchen knife in his well-toned chest. Lieutenant Eve Dallas soon discovers a lineup of women who were loved and left by the narcissistic gym rat. While Dallas sorts through the list of Ziegler's enemies, she's also dealing with her Christmas shopping list, plus the guest list for her and her billionaire husband's upcoming holiday bash. Feeling less than festive, Dallas tries to put aside her distaste for the victim and solve the mystery of his death. There are just a few investigating days left before Christmas, and as New Year's 2061 approaches, this homicide cop is resolved to stop a cold-blooded killer. Wow, that's what we got there. So, it is one of my absolute favorite series, and Nora Roberts is one of my favorite authors ever. I gave this book 3.5 stars, which isn't, you might be like, Ruth, that's not that many stars for a series you say you love so much. Fair thing to say. However, I feel like, when you're at book 39, you can't love every single one of them as a 5-star. So here I'll tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and then I'll tell you about the food that I've given you a link to, and my nails, which you can kind of tell. I asked my daughter, what do you think of my nails? And she's like, Mom, they look kind of like Christmas nails. And I'm like, that's because the book's called Festive in Death. So anyway, I understand that it's August, and we're just going to be fine with that. So what did I like about the book? Well, what I liked was, I obviously love Eve. She's the futuristic cop, and I love kind of the other cops that she works with, and I love all their relationships and the relationships building that we continue to get even in book 39, where she's continuing to kind of build character, and we continue to see them growing with each other and smoothing each other's edges, as they say. And it's really a wonderful thing to see her relationships and how they grow. And we saw that in this book, which I really appreciated. And I really liked that about this book. The holiday was something, I don't know that we've seen a lot of holidays, even through 39 books. I think we start maybe in 2058 in the first book. Oh, of course, these little paperbacks don't really show you very much, but I do think it starts in 2058. And so you can see even on book 39, we're only in 2061. So we've only gone through a couple of years, a handful of years in 39 books. But the relationships and the growth that they've had in this, and so we haven't had a lot of holidays that we've seen in the books, but I think this one really did illustrate some growth for sure with Eve and some of the people that she's in relationships with here. Like, I'm not talking about romantic relationships, I'm talking about like friendships and even sort of frenemyships. And I think that was really neat. I feel like why I gave it 3.5 instead of a higher star rating, I didn't really feel the mystery. It was kind of like a meh to me. Maybe it's partly you kind of heard that the person that got killed was a narcissist, so like it's hard to care very much about it was a little hard to care about the person that was murdered, which like also they felt a little bit like in the book, like they were kind of like struggling with having to find the murderer when you don't really care about the person that was killed, even though you know that's still your job to do that. And the person was a bad person that was murdered. But the mystery itself just like wasn't that important to me. It was more like the outside things, the tertiary things that were going on. But all in all, I love a JD Robb. It's kind of like my comfort book. You know, I read my 25 books and I have another, then I'll go to my next list of 25, and I kind of try to save these for when I'm feeling particularly in need, because I can always snuggle up to one of these JD Robb books and it just makes me feel happy and safe. So thanks Nora, you're the best. So what did I do for the food? Well, with Festive and Death, I figured I would share some traditional British recipes from my homeland. So I have provided a Christmas cake recipe, which is something we eat in England for Christmas. So I don't know, you Americans may not find it particularly amazing because it's like a pretty dense fruit cake, but I think it's delicious. And so check it out. Check out that recipe. It is linked in the description. Either if you're looking on my Facebook, it's linked there, or it is in the description on the YouTube channel. And then my nails. So I did kind of a green, and then we have the elf stockings, which was a Christmas one from last year. And then over the top, I did the crown jewels to kind of add that extra sparkle, which we know that Eve Dallas has sparkle all night long. And especially some of her compatriots like Peabody and McNabb, they sparkle and shine, baby. So there we go. That's what I got for you this week. Check it out. Make sure to start with Naked in Death if you haven't read the series before. It's absolutely worth the read. Even my husband likes it, and he's listened to all the audiobooks multiple times over, okay? So check them out. They're worth it. They're fun. Have a great week, everyone. I hope you're hanging in there, and I'll see you next week. Bye.